The desert wind was relentless. Dust kicked up off the dry Texas plains and rolled across the small wooden fences that lined the property. At the edge of the land sat a humble ranch house, weather-beaten, worn, and built by the rough, calloused hands of a man who had lived more lives than he cared to admit. That man was Cole McKinley. He was 38, a single father, widowed young, and tougher than the leather on his boots. He wasn't the type to talk much. Life had taught him that words meant little if you couldn't back them up. His hands were rough from years of ranch work, and his heart was scarred from a love he'd buried long ago. The only thing that kept him grounded anymore was his 9-year-old son, Levi, who had his mother's eyes and Cole's quiet strength. Life on the ranch was simple. Brutal, yes. But simple. Until the day he opened a letter that made him drop his coffee. It was an old agreement, something his brother had set up before his sudden death 2 years ago. A bizarre contract connected to a charity auction overseas. At the time, Cole thought it was a joke. "You won a companion," it said. An 18-year-old girl who requested to be relocated for safety reasons. "You signed the paperwork." He had laughed it off then. Brushed it aside. But now, the agency was reaching out. The girl had no family left. Her guardianship agreement had transferred to him. At first, Cole planned to refuse. He wasn't about to take in some stranger, not on his land, not around his son. But then he saw her file. Her name was Sierra. Just 18. Born into a broken system, trafficked across borders by the time she was 14, then rescued through an international aid program. She had requested relocation to somewhere quiet. Remote. Safe. Somewhere with horses, her file read. "I've never seen one up close." Something in Cole cracked. He knew what it meant to feel abandoned. To be passed around like property. To need a place to start over. So he said yes. She arrived 2 weeks later, stepping off a Greyhound bus in worn sneakers and a second-hand jacket 2 sizes too big. Her hair was long and tangled, her eyes hollow with mistrust. But when she looked up and saw the rolling hills and the horses grazing in the distance, something in her changed. She didn't smile. Not yet. But she breathed. Deeply. Cole didn't say much that first day. He gave her space. Showed her the barn, the house, and the room she'd stay in, simple, clean, with fresh sheets and a window that faced the sunrise. Levi, curious as ever, peeked into her room later that evening. "You ever ride a horse?" he asked bluntly. Sierra shook her head. "Well," Levi grinned, "you will." Over the following weeks, life shifted. Gently. Sierra was quiet, always watching. She woke early, helped with chores without being asked, and learned fast. She had a strength Cole hadn't expected. She didn't flinch at hard work. She didn't complain. And slowly, so slowly he almost missed it, she began to change. She laughed when Levi made jokes. She talked to the horses like they were old friends. She started humming while she swept the porch. And one morning, Cole saw her standing in the pasture, sunlight hitting her face as she stroked the mane of his oldest mare, Dusty. It was the first time he saw her smile. But change doesn't come without resistance. One afternoon, after months of adjusting, a social worker visited. She questioned everything, why Sierra was here, whether Cole was fit to house her, what the nature of the relationship was. Sierra stood up before Cole could say anything. "I asked to come here," she said firmly. "I chose this. He didn't buy me. He saved me." The social worker tried to push back, but Sierra held her ground. "I'm not property," she said. "I'm free here." The agent left quietly. And from that day forward, something unspoken passed between Sierra and Cole. Respect. Trust. A connection deeper than blood. One day, in the dead of winter, Levi fell ill. A bad flu. High fever. Cole panicked. His late wife had died from a lung infection. It was his worst fear. Sierra stayed by Levi's side for 48 hours straight, wiping his forehead, singing to him softly, feeding him spoonfuls of soup. She never asked for a break. Never wavered. When Levi finally opened his eyes and whispered, "Thanks, Mama," Sierra broke down crying. She left the room and ran out to the barn, not wanting anyone to see her cry. But Cole followed. "You didn't have to do all that," he said quietly. Sierra turned to him, tears in her eyes. "He's not just your son anymore." That night, something changed. They didn't kiss. They didn't cross lines. But when Cole handed her a mug of tea before bed and she took it with both hands trembling, he saw it in her eyes, the gratitude, the longing, the love she was afraid to name. And he realized something terrifying. He loved her too. It wasn't romantic. Not then. Not yet. It was something deeper. Older. Like two souls who recognized each other across the fire. But Cole was afraid. She was 18. He was nearly 40. He had a son. A reputation. The ranch. The world wouldn't understand. So he buried the feelings. Shoved them down. Pretended it wasn't happening. But Sierra saw through it. One morning, while mucking the stables, she looked him dead in the eyes. "You think I don't know?" she asked softly. "Know what?" "That you're scared. That you think I'm just some lost girl who doesn't understand love. But I do, Cole. I do. Because you taught me." He didn't say anything. Just looked at her. She stepped closer. "I'm not a child. And you didn't save me. You gave me the tools to save myself. That's love. Whether you're ready for it or not." And then she walked away. It took him 2 days to process it. 2 days of pacing the ranch, replaying her words, reliving every moment since she'd arrived. How she'd stitched the family back together. How she'd carved herself into their lives like she'd always belonged. So on the 3rd day, he saddled up a horse, rode into town, and bought her a gift. Not a ring. Not a promise. A pair of new boots. The same kind Levi wore. The same kind he wore. When he handed them to her, she blinked. "What's this?" "Family uniform," he said, half smiling. "You earned it." And for the first time, she threw her arms around him. From that day forward, no one questioned what they were. Some called it strange. Some whispered behind their backs. But those who knew them, really knew them, saw the truth. This wasn't a rescue story. It was a rebirth. 2 broken people finding shelter in each other. Building something solid out of wreckage. Choosing love over judgment. Peace over pain. Years later, when Levi turned 18, he gave a speech at his birthday dinner. "I've had 2 parents in my life," he said. "One gave me life. The other taught me how to live it. Sierra, I don't care what the world calls you. You'll always be my mom." She cried then. Cole did too. And though they never announced it with fanfare, everyone knew she wasn't just a girl he took in. She was the woman he waited a lifetime for. And he never expected that love would arrive, in the form of an 18-year-old girl, who had been through hell, but chose to bloom anyway.